Sincere Nokwaree.
Obviously, there's just a great chemistry between me writing a lot of your stuff, your tracks, and me writing to it. It's a vibe that's right, where we go do Chinese for his birthday, and then I do Chinese for my birthday. Some of y'all don't know. I know some of y'all don't know. Even some of the people who know Adrian Morris don't know. But this man have performed, I mean, all over the country and out overseas, you know what I'm saying? But hey, can you tell the people a little bit about your history, you know, some of the things, some of the places you perform and who you perform for and who you open for? Just, I know you can't say, we'll be here all day, but just, can you give people some highlights, you know, so they'll know, you know, that you're just not just talking.
Oh yeah, well, I've been blessed, man, and had many opportunities, you know, whether it had been with the groups that I've been a part of, from the Fat Cat Players days to the chapter, to my solo stuff. I've done everything from USO tours with Johnny Gill, Sherelle, All for One. It's a lot of artists, man. As a member of the Fat Cat Players, we open for God knows how many people, man. From the OJs to doing Tom Joyner cruises, to Brian McKnight, to Destiny Child, you name it, to Eric Benet. We performed with a lot of different people and been blessed with the opportunity to share the stage. We've shared the stage. As he said, we would be out here all day, and it was definitely a learning experience for me, and has groomed me to this point where I am today.
Your beats.
The thing today is just the way music's so saturated is that it's just, the key now is just keep dropping. Keep dropping and keep putting it. And see what happens, why that is, because what's going on is the market is coming to, you know, playlists, and like people binge. It's just like Netflix. You know how you'll go to a show you like, it might be one show you want to watch, but then once you watch it, you want to watch everything else they got. So it's like, if they only coming to you for one song and you only got one song, for them to stay on you and for them to become a fan, you may lose. But if you come to, they come for you for one song, but they see you got 18, 20, 30 songs, they're gonna continue to play. Right. That's how you make it work. I have artists that follow me. Y'all know who you are. You know what I'm saying? I'm just really want people to look back, even future artists, look back on this in some kind of way we can help just the music community, the artist community. You know, this is just one of our ways of giving back. Not to say that we, you know, sold, you know, millions of records, but we've been doing this long enough that we have a lot of information we can give to help, you know, this thing that we call music. So one of the things I noticed in live performances is artists not connecting with their audience. Like I'll see them, they singing, they looking down at the ground, or they singing to the band, they singing with their eyes closed, excuse me. How important is it for artists to connect with their audience, you know?
Very important. If you're not gonna connect with the audience, you're not gonna, you know, deliver the message of that song to your audience, then you might as well just not even come out and do live performances. And that's what it's all about. We wanna take the audience on a emotional roller coaster. If it's a positive song, you know, we want to make the audience feel good. If it's a song about a certain situation, maybe somebody's going through something, that song could help them. So you got to connect with the audience. And if you can't, you might as well just be a studio recording, never come out the house, and just release your music out that way. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
But I mean,
ways, like, what do, so let's try to give some tips. If or not tips, maybe just some standard rules of stage engagement. Like,
well,
what's some of your tips that you can
I'll tell you this. When I first started out singing, everybody has butterflies or a little bit shy.
Right.
So
I've even heard the best of them.
Yeah, the best of them. You have moments where you're shy, or
that's good to know.
You feel a little afraid or whatever.
Don't feel that.
If you ever feel that, just find something in the room, a focal point that kind of just in the center of the room. It could be a person, it could be an object, but keep yourself facing the audience. Never, you don't want to turn your back on the audience. There may be times in the show where you do, where you're engaged in the band, or you're directing the band, or you're doing something, but not the whole show. Don't sing at the ground the whole show. Don't sing at the sky the whole show.
Yeah. You
gotta point to the people. Point to the people. I see you. Hey, beautiful people, talk to them.
Yeah, I like how you do that a lot.
Get them engaged, man, because they paid money to come see you. If they're sitting out there and you're on that ticket performing live, those people pay money to see whatever you're bringing. So entertain the people, man. Touch the people. If it's an opportunity where you can go down and shake a few hands, you can do that too. But however you do it, always you gotta connect, man. If you can't connect with the audience, don't even bother coming out.
Here's a
that publishing is where it's at. Never been selfish with my material, you hear me? Never.
Okay.
Never been selfish. So you want to record one of my songs you hear out there, or something we done together, hey, by all means, make it happen.
For groups that have like more than one, of course, it's a group. So say it's 3 performers, 4 performers on stage, where they not running into each other.
You need to kind of have some type of game plan. Whoever's holding the mic, whoever's leading that song at the moment, let them be the center stage. Others can work the different sides of the stage, but whoever's leading the song or has control of that, if you're a rapper, if you're rapping your verse, let that person be the main focus for that moment. If another guy comes in on the verse, then bring him in, let him take center stage, and then have some kind of organization as to how you're going to work the stage. I think that's something that needs to be thought out and planned out.
My point is, I like how you guys was moving on stage. Like, I noticed that, like, I think it was Anthony Williams and
Ron Wilson.
Yeah, Big Ron.
Big
okay. I noticed whoever had the controlling mic, they kind of went center, and the 2 sides kind of played back, right? And then if somebody went down in the audience, right, everybody didn't go down in the audience.
No.
It was still somebody on stage kind of still trying to keep the crowd.
That's correct.
What is that? Was that because y'all seasoned, or did y'all plan it that way?
Well, it goes back to what I said earlier. Right. We're seasoned, that helps, but we talked about it before we went out. You gotta plan it. You gotta, when you're doing a show, have some type of idea of how the show is gonna go. That's why I say go back to studying some of the greats, the Four Tops, the Temptations, the OJs, all those different types of groups. There was a method to the madness, man. They didn't just come out and saying they had steps, choreography. it was well thought out. And I think, you know, anytime you're putting on a show, it needs to be well thought out on what you, even if you're just a soloist. It needs to be well thought out on how you're going to attack that audience and how you're going to connect with that audience and how you're going to engage that audience. You need to think about those things, some of the things you're going to say. You know, it may change a little bit when you get on stage because, you know, sometimes you get on stage, I go out there sometimes and I have one thing on my mind that I think I'm going to say, but when I get out there and I connect with the people, I'm led to do something else. So, you know, sometimes you got to follow your heart too, but have some type of game plan of what you're going to do when you go out there on the stage. Let me ask you.
Picture Perfect perform that song all over the world, but never release it.
I could do like a Sincere Nokwaree presents Adrian Morris or something. That way, I'm saying, I'm trying to think of a way. That brings me to one question, and I've seen people talk about this on YouTube and so forth. Like, what do you do when you get up there and you make a mistake, you hit a wrong note, you forget your lyrics? Let's talk about the forgetting lyrics part, right? I've heard people say they make up words until they get the words right. I guess there's a number of things people can do, but I think the main thing I've heard is people just keep your cool. Don't let the people know you messed up. What's your thought?
Number one thing, man. Only you really, if you keep your cool, don't let the audience see you sweat. Don't turn around and say, dang, shoot.
Well, let's start
I
over.
done messed up, I start over. Just keep you cool and press through it without sweating. I think a lot of times it doesn't happen to the best of us. I mean, some of the best performers in the world have had hiccups on stage, but when you become seasoned and good at it, you never know when they messed up because they know how to recover is the key word. You gotta learn how to recover from whether it's forgetting lyrics, whether it could be the band messing up, the music. So like it could be a number of things going on stage that's wrong, but only you really know as the artist that it's really wrong.
Like break that down. Like we're talking general. So like for you, like you're on stage, you forget a line, you forget a lyric.
I forget a lyric.
What you doing? What you gonna do? Or what have you done in some situations?
A technique that I have used, I have put other words there. Okay. I'll put other words there until it comes back. I have to. That's a technique I use. Okay. And I may put a word there that kind of rolls with the song. It could be and see the way the audience looks at it. If I don't let them see me sweat, they could be looking at it as, hey, that's him putting his own spin on that song. Because every artist can interpret songs the way that they want to do it. Yeah. And I think every artist should put themselves in the song. So sometimes you may put your name in the song, you may change a lyric here and there. So
or cater to the city.
Or cater to the city. Yeah. You know, so what's the difference?
I've seen people do that.
People change stuff all the time. So the main thing is if you mess up on a lyric, just kind of, you know, go to recovery mode. You know, you might have to mumble a different word here and there.
Get the crowd
involved, you know, and just...
All right, y'all sing it.
Yeah, you know, until it comes back to you. But just have fun through it, man. Don't show... I
think that's good.
Don't be frustrated. Yeah. Don't frown. Don't...
I think that's the
curse and don't let the people see you sweat. That's the main thing.
That's good. That's good. That's good. All right. Man, you forgot D'Angelo, man. You said Cleveland?
I was in Cleveland, man. Hey, look, I forgot about my man D'Angelo. That was one of the baddest shows.
Man.
Fat Cat Players, shout out to the Fat Cat Players, Coco Brown, Danny Harris, putting that together.
What's a good tip? Like, it's kind of getting sunny here.
Yeah.
What's a good tip for artists trying to get gigs? Maybe in that area now. They may have a small market or whatever, but like what? Let me put it this way. A lot of artists out here, they looking for managers, and they think a manager is gonna get them on. Mm-hmm. I always was told that you don't need a manager unless you got something to manage, right?
You gotta have something to manage.
Because managers, that's how they get paid. Because you got something to manage.
You have something to manage.
So an artist trying to get gigs, get on that side of things, what are some tips? How can they, what can they do?
Listen, as I mentioned before, if you want to get better at this, you have to perform. Find platforms, find vehicles to put yourself out there. You got to do the same thing with this. If you want to, sell yourself and do live shows and all that type of stuff, first you got to build your audience up. You got to put yourself out there. If nobody knows about you, if they haven't seen you sing anywhere,
songs that I got,
then they're not coming to see you.
That just ain't been.
They're not coming. No one's gonna come see you.
Messing around. Even with that song, we had a song. Had that pop feel to it.
I really like the song because I remember singing to you like I like this. I don't know if you can do that with this. Man, some of the sounds I got now.
We was ahead of the time though. See what I'm talking about? Now, what's one of the biggest things that was not too long was a lot of that pop stuff.
You can't just pop up out the studio because you got a lot of people recording music now and doing this thing, but they don't get out and perform. Now we do have, back in the day it was talent shows and that type of stuff. Now you got the YouTube and the Instagrams and different platforms to kind of put yourself out there. So the first thing I would say is build your following. Build your following, and then once you find out what areas you're kind of getting hot or warm in, then you look into seeing, okay, what venues are in that area. It could be locally, or you could be buzzing somewhere else. If you got a big buzz or big following in a certain area, then you may want to contact the promoters, and see how you can get in on opening up for some shows that might be in the area or coming that way.
Let me ask you on that. Would you encourage, or what's your take on a lot of promoters? They will charge people to open up for an act. They may have come in town. What's your thoughts on artists paying to open up for an act? I mean, is that good, bad, or what's your opinion on it?
I think
could it be a payoff?
It could be a payoff. I think you have to look at it and assess it and see how it can work for you. What type of audience is it? Is it an opportunity to open for Beyonce? Then yeah, it might be worth to pay and get that crowd. And if you got a good show and you get out there and you connect with those people. And
but what about situations like, okay, Beyonce come on, say at 11 p.m. You opening up at 5 p.m. and it's 30 people out there. But you don't pay $200. It's one you can't forget, cuzzo.
Who is that?
Oh man.
Uh-oh. I'm dropping stuff out here. What's going on? I thought shots was ringing. I thought it was in the hood. I was in the hood.
It was so important that I dropped my thing. But that's your boy Sincere Nokwaree. I was going by Sean Stark, Bishop at the time. FMU. You know what I'm saying? Florida A&M, bro.
What we need to do, man, is come up with a strategic plan. The songs that you produce and that I wrote to, I'll let you release them under your umbrella. I'll let you release some of them under your umbrella. Even if I come back, I can put a compilation project together and release it later on another. For as far as selling it when I do live shows and stuff like that, that ain't but just to test the market.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hey, it's almost like going to Vegas and you stop at
so
that
you
slot
just got
machine.
hustled.
you know, you gotta assess the situation. Like I said earlier, assess the situation, see if it works for you. If you think it's something that's gonna work for you, or you think it's something that you can afford to do, then by all means, definitely you want to find as many platforms as you can where you can kind of put yourself out there where it won't cost you a lot.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first thing. You know, now everybody turning on their phone, so that's the main. Turn your phone on, get your keyboard out.
Hey, life of a producer, you know what I'm saying?
And start singing, man. Do a nightly show on YouTube. Hey, people getting mad at me because I'm old school. I got to do better about, you know, putting myself out there a little bit on the social media thing. But I'm old school, man. You know, I'm blessed to have had and still have a lot of people that, you know, they like to come see me, or, you know, and I got vehicles and different platforms that I've been blessed with to continue doing what I'm doing. So,
So what we did them talent shows?
Listen, let me tell you.
That's where it started.
Listen. If you were able to do
90s,
if you were able to survive a talent show at FAMU in the 90s,
Florida A&M,
if you were able to survive it without getting booed or eggs or tomatoes being thrown at you, then you knew right then and there you had what it takes.
What about so as it relates to, like, say, okay, that's it's degrees to this thing, so we understand that. So that's like a lot of for our beginning artists. What about artists who out there, they have a little following, now they're dealing with maybe promoters and so forth. Is there anything that you've noticed in contracts that typically they're not covered, but it's something that artists should look out for in their contracts? Like, for example, say you've been booked somewhere and you get there and there's no venue or access for y'all to change, or no meal, and but you didn't think about that in the negotiation period. And, you know, now you look back on it and say, hey, for us to come there, we'll come, but we need these, I guess what they call a rider. Is that what they call it?
You gotta have your rider together.
But before you say that, because some people don't know what that means. When you say, when people use those terms as a rider, and then what is that? Can you explain what that is?
A rider is simply the things that you need to be successful in your show, wherever, you know, the promoter is booking you to perform. The rider can consist of instruments that your band may need. It can consist of food you need in your dressing room, and the bigger the artist, the bigger the artist. Usually the bigger the riders are. So can you share some of the things you might have heard that you don't have to name names, but the craziest thing that you've heard on the riders list? The craziest thing that I've heard on the riders list is I've heard that there was an artist, and I can't remember the name, but they requested all red M&Ms. They wanted all red M&Ms in a bowl. I've heard about this. Now, you know, you got some people, they got to have a certain type of alcohol in their dressing room.
What about ladies?
Well,
is that on the right? Is that on the list?
That's usually, that don't have to be on the rider.
Let's talk about the money part. I know people, see, I'm giving y'all the jewels here, man. The money part, right? Mm-hmm. So, what's the best way artists, and this is another level of artists that we're talking here. What's the best way where artists can secure their monies? So, for example, they come into a show, the show didn't sell like the promoter thought, but because you got a contract or agreement, you do a certain amount. Is that how the business go? Like, well, artists secure a certain amount?
I tell you how I do business, and I can only speak for myself. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that do the same thing. Whenever I put a contract together and I'm working with a promoter, and I book a show and we agree on a said price, I want half of that before I even sing one note. Before my band hits one note, whatever it may be. If it's just a track date, if it's just me and some tracks, before that track is played and before I open my mouth, I want half of that money. That way, if anything goes down, and I've got some experiences I can share with you on that tip. If anything goes down and things are not quite like you thought it would be, you hadn't promoted the show, the crowd, the building may be shabby or not what you at least got half of your money before you.
Have you had to do that?
I've had to do that. I've had to do that. It's some folks that know what I'm talking about too out there. I've had
I ain't asked you to call out
I'm not
nobody.
giving no names or anything, but I've had to, you know, just I got to a venue, had my band there, got there, things weren't right. Say don't take any equipment out the cars. Do not remove any instruments out of the van. Do not we're not singing, I'm not hitting a note until I get some explanations as to why things are not the way they should be.
And this business was already handled before you got there.
That's correct.
Now what's the part?
Contract signed, money, half of the money put in my account.
And part of that, to get some people to understand, because some people don't understand it, I don't think it's necessarily like, you know, somebody trying to be uppity or whatever like that, or like you're better or something. But people got to take into account that it took money for you to get there already.
It took money for me to get there. It takes money. I got to pay the people that I'm responsible for, whether it be the musicians.
So you don't need more. You don't need more of a loss.
You don't need more of a loss at that time. If it's not right, if things are not in order, the way that we discussed and the way that it's mapped out in the contract, I'm taking that half and going back home.
Have you ever seen where somebody pay half before y'all hit 1 mile on the road? Like
that's what I want. Half of the money just in my account to secure that date, and I'll be there.
Okay, so what if you get there? So when you get there, they don't have the other. They pay the other half.
They pay
after you perform, or the rest of it before you go.
They pay before.
Oh, okay.
When we arrive.
Okay,
I get the other half.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
That's correct.
All right, let's see what we got in these fortune cookies. And where you at?
Super Buffet China.
Super Buffet China. I'm gonna tell y'all, Super Buffet, y'all need to step it up, man. Y'all slipping.
Anyway, let's crack it open and see what we got. I don't want fortune, I just want the fortune. I don't want the cookie, I just want the fortune. Some decent lotto numbers, I won't share those, I may play those. Let me look at what it says, you have a charming way with words, and you should write a book. Maybe something in my future, I'm a songwriter. I may write a book. Pages from my songbook. Part 2. Just in case you don't believe me, there you go. See if you can get it. It might be too. I don't know if you can focus in on that. I don't know.
It might come out backwards.
Yeah, who knows? We tried.
Mine is share your fortune with others. It will bring you good luck. Wow. That's how I've been feeling about my music.
Yeah.
Just sharing.
Let's do it. Sharing is caring. Well, you want to write some jello? Yeah. Gotta have my jello before I leave the spot. I get on this jello a little bit. It's my safe dessert. I'm trying to work out, family, so instead of eating ice cream, I'll get the jello.
Yeah, I gotta check the old cuz on IG, Instagram with his Just Move.
Yeah, I got a Just Move campaign, baby. I'm trying to inspire all the folks out there to just have a little activity in their lives and keep it moving, man, you know.
Yeah.
Try to find time to get it in.
Hey, rider. That's a rider. That's a rider. Can we get the hook? Can we get the hook? Can we, hey, hey, hey.
I can be the man of your dreams. Give you every little thing you need, girl. Let me. Ooh. I can upgrade your life. Put a ring on it and make you my wife, girl. Let me. Only if you let me.
JBL. JBL. Clowning.
Oh,
That's what we do.
Forgot about that.
We're gonna make a hit, baby. That's one hit right there. We finna go on and put out there very soon. Soon and very soon. Soon and very soon. The cousins are coming at you. Soon and very soon.